And we are live. Hi, welcome to our live stream. This is the Woodstock Film Festival. We are live streaming out of Woodstock, New York. This is our 25th annual film festival, and I have some shorts filmmakers with me here today. We will be talking about their films. So why don't you guys introduce yourselves and your film and who you are within the film, and then we'll take it from there.
Sure. My name's Alain Delannoy. I directed The Snip, which is an animated documentary short about vasectomies. I directed it, produced it, animated it. Yeah, all based in Winnipeg. So.
Cool. So my name is Rory McHarg. I co-directed this film called A Two-Hearted Tale. It's about a Kalamazoo artist from Michigan whose trout illustration found its way into pretty much every liquor store and convenience store you can go into today via this craft brewery. So the film is really exploring his artwork, but we use this trout illustration kind of as a window into his world. And I co-directed it with a friend of mine, Brett Miller. He grew up in Grand Rapids, around the area. So I came from New Zealand. We met up in Michigan. We found the story and got together to make this documentary.
Great. And have either of you ever been to Woodstock before?
I have not. No, I lived in New York City for 10 years. I used to come up the Hudson Valley through like Beacon, but I actually never came to Woodstock. So it's the first time.
Wow.
Same. I've never. Oh, sorry. I haven't lived in New York, but this is my first time to Woodstock. Yeah.
Exciting. And how did you find the Woodstock Film Festival?
I just arrived today, and
I arrived yesterday. And I'll tell you a tiny anecdote. I got in a car accident on the way here.
Oh, no.
And like crashed off the road and totally dented the rental car.
Oh no.
And I arrived a little late, but I'm here and the car still works. So so that was a scary intro, but unexpected. But otherwise, yeah, it's an amazing little town. So
yeah, and what made you bring your films to this particular festival?
So I had worked with Amanda, who programs, a while back in New York, and I'd sent her this film, and I said, hey, the characters in this film would probably feel like almost most the characters that live in Woodstock. These kind of like, I mean, you'd probably call them old hippies in some terms. Yeah.
Colorful town.
So she watched it, and she's like, oh my God, I see so many people from this community that feel and look like this guy, the artist. So that's why we felt it would be a good time here.
Great. What about you?
well, I screened before at the Woodstock Film Festival a few years ago with my first animated documentary short. It was called The Talk: True Stories About the Birds and the Bees. Mm-hmm. And in that film, I interviewed a whole bunch of guys on how they got the sex talk from their parents. And it was, they're all train wrecks. All the stories are train wrecks. And then I animated how their stories went. Anyways, it got played here at Woodstock. I wasn't able to make it at the time. And I told myself if I'm fortunate enough to get the next film in, I definitely want to make it down to watch the screening here.
Exciting. Well, it seems like most of your films then are about sexual health. What led you down that path?
Well, it's a good question. The first film was inspired, I guess, by hearing my nephew ask a question that led to his talk. And when I told this anecdote to some friends, they all started telling me their embarrassing stories about how they got their sex talks. And when I was on the festival circuit with that film, I had a conversation with another filmmaker, and she asked me what my next project was. And I said, well, I'm not really sure. Maybe I could do some kind of sequel. And I was like, but, now I'm hearing lots of friends start to talk to me about that they just got a vasectomy. Mm-hmm. And it just kind of hit me like a lightning strike. I'm like, I think this is a continuation. Yeah, I could do something with this. So, but I think it is a topic that's very important, and I think it's good to get people to talk about it and get have tools or kind of inspiration to influence conversations and dialogue about sex and sexual health.
Great. And how did your topic come to you? How did you come to learn about this infamous artist and his trout?
I had moved from New York to Michigan, and I'm a beer drinker, so I was looking for an IPA, and everyone had told me about this two-hearted ale, and I just couldn't find it, and I didn't know what it looked like. And then someone goes, "Oh, there's a trout on it," and I thought, "Oh, that's interesting," because my dad was a trout fisherman, and so I was reading about it, and Dave Chappelle had famously done a comedy set in Kalamazoo. He was handed a plastic cup, and he took a sip, and he said, the two-hearted ale. So he knew the beer without like having the thing. He said, "Why the hell did they put a fish on the label?" And I was kind of thought, well, that's funny. It's kind of the same question I asked. We looked up the artist. He had a website. He didn't have a cell phone or anything. Just called him up out of the blue and said, "Hey, has anyone done a documentary about your art?" And he's like, "No." And I was like, "In particular, the trout?" And he was like, "No." And he was kind of reluctant in a way, like, "I don't want to be famous for a beer label. I want to be an artist, you know?" So, yeah, that's kind of how it started. We traveled out there. We took a crew, begged some friends to bring a camera, and did a first interview to see if we had a good story.
Great. Yeah, it's interesting because you both have made these documentaries, but they're both have these very different approaches while still being about specific people's stories. How did you each go about your interactions with your subjects? How did you cultivate your relationships in order to get those trusting relationships, to get the stories out of them?
Go first.
Yeah, it's a really good question. And my film has some animation in it too. I took a lot of the artist's drawings, and he did it's very nature-based drawings that have kind of fish that morph into trees and stuff. So we took his drawings and we animated them basically frame by frame through his drawings. He'd never done animation.
Was he a part of that animation process?
Yeah, I did all the animating and he did all the drawings. So
great. Yeah.
It's kind of a collaboration. But I was using the animation to explain the process of his mind. Because when you see the drawings, you're seeing a fish that turns into a tree and then maybe goes back into an inebriate or like some other like organic form, and they actually feel like they're cohesive. So I think probably the same as you're trying to explain something that's coming out of someone else's mind, but they don't really have like the perfect articulation of it. So you're like, through filmmaking, I can interview him, I can do some drawings, I can film him in action, and maybe that way I can explain like what's going on in here and what he's thinking. So I think when you approach your character, it's like, you probably know, it's like there's so much trust, and especially documentaries, you have to call them 20 times before you show up the camera and like really try and find that bond, because you want people to trust you on camera, and like it's usually kind of, especially topics that you deal with, they're like even harder to talk about. So I think that's the approach. Just go about it. It's really, really wanting to be friends with these people and understanding them and having that commonality, and then think about what you're going to film them saying and doing.
How much time did you spend with him in total?
I've now spent like 4 years, like, because it was during COVID, so there was a big break, but yeah, we constantly talk. He emailed me this morning. Maybe he's watching, I don't know. But it's just lots of back and forth, millions of emails. He didn't have a cell phone, so it had to be landline phone calls back and forth. But yeah, just a lot of communication.
Great, yeah. And what about you?
I would agree completely about the trust. I think trust is like really important. And when I came to the second film, at least the people who are interviewing had a reference of kind of like how I was going to tackle certain things. And I guess, I don't know, like I listened to a lot of talk radio. In Canada, we have like the CBC, and it's just like talk radio. And I love like listening to it. And sometimes these stories would give me pictures in my brain, and to a certain degree, that's what's happening here. They're saying something, and then like the images are kind of like a response to it. Sometimes they illustrate, sometimes they contradict, sometimes they so yeah, like I just really love the medium of animation and all the possibilities it allows you. But I think that's really important. It's trust, and it's also, you have to have respect for your subject. You have to have respect for the topic. You have to have respect for the audience as well. Yeah, and it's and you just want to make sure you convey that, so that you get that trust, and then you have something that's authentic and true.
it's exciting to hear you both talk about how you express the feelings and inner thoughts of your subjects, and then seeing how you both use these hybrid mediums of both film and animation and art to get that done. I think so many of us gravitate towards film because it feels like more of a 3D way to express things, but it's so interesting that you both took it a step farther with your animation. How did you incorporate that into your films? Did you always know you were going to do that?
Not for me. No, it was something that just kind of came about organically. We wanted chapters in the film, and we wanted chapter titles, and we decided to add these drawings into it. Yeah.
Exciting.
And me, I grew up watching animation, like, you know, and just loving animation.
Yeah.
I started animating I guess very late teens, and doing some stuff, and I don't know, I was animating before I was doing animated documentary, so I'm really enjoying fusing them together.
Yeah, it's an exciting practice. All right. Well, thank you both so much for joining us for our live stream.
Thank you.
And do you want to plug where people can find your films and also which block it's in and if they can still see it?
Oh yeah, the Two-Hearted Tale screens tonight at 7:45 in the block. And the block's called Work of Art. It's at the Woodstock Community
Center.
Yeah.
And mine screens at 5 o'clock today. It's Saturday the 19th. At the Woodstock Community Center, and it's in the fiercely animated block. So hope to see you there.
All right, catch them later. Bye, guys. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks so much.
There was like a photo of the moderator.
Nope. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Hi, welcome. How are you?
Good. Yeah, I know you guys are doing this like back-to-back days.
Yeah, come join us. Yeah, sure. Hello. Oh.
She's my partner.
Hi, I'm Hallie. I'm a shorts programmer.
Hallie?
Yes.
David, nice to meet you.
David, nice to meet you. And thanks for joining us. Of course. Do you want to introduce yourself to the audience and let them know what your film is, what you are in relation to the film, and what block it's screened in?
Sure, yeah. The film, I have a short film in the festival this year. It's called A Song for Gracie, and it's screened on Thursday night in the shorts block called Chef's Choice. And, you know, I'm a filmmaker. I'm also a resident this year at the Woodstock Film Residency, and I'm developing a feature you know, with the wonderful support of Woodstock and White Feather Farm.
Exciting. And do you want to tell everybody a little bit about what your film is about?
Yeah, so A Song for Gracie is a road movie mixed with magical realism. So it's about two lovers who are traveling across the California desert, and they stop at an abandoned gas station, and one of the lovers experiences basically a past vision of her lover, and then she's forced to reckon with the current state of their relationship.
Yes. It's such an interesting story because you kind of have this one idea of what a road movie is like in your head, and your film has completely blown that genre open. Usually I feel like it's some kind of almost like a buddy film genre where it is about like growing closer over that travels, and you interrogated what it looks like to be on the road with somebody. Did you have any inspirations when making your film? Anything that came to mind about how you wanted their relationships to show on screen?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very inspired by old cinema, you know, so like, you know, I would go to sort of, the road movie in my head is like, you know, everything from Paris, Texas to even unconventional movies like Ugetsu, which is a Japanese movie from the 50s.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of really like inspired by movies like that, where it's the journey of the heart instead of really just like a physical journey itself. Yeah. So, you know, the actors, Olivia and Iman, they came to me with the script or with the story, and they, you know, trusted me with a vision to direct, and, you know, we worked on the script a little bit further, and I sort of, you know, was really lucky to be in this very open collaboration with them. And so, you know, I sort of brought the sort of more cinephile side to it, and we decided to break it open, you know, and like sort of explore like what it means to be out in the open desert and like explore that genre, but like also turn it over its side a little bit and make it more about heart, make it more about these two people whose relationship has forever changed, and how much of that spirit still remains in the desert. I mean, I'm a California boy, so like grew up very adjacent to the desert, but going to the desert all the time.
Great. And how much would you say the location impacts the script? Because it does have that, it's echoed in the emotional nature of it. But was it always written to be the desert, or did you kind of shoot it and then figure it out?
It was definitely always written to be the desert. And this is kind of practical because we're all based in LA, and the closest desert is what we call the high desert, which is the edge of the Mojave Desert north of LA. And so we decided to just explore a little bit. And, a lot of movie ranches are out there that were all a lot of westerns from the 50s, were shot, but we explored even further than that. So like, sort of the nature of the relationship between the sky and the desert, how you can see the moon during the day, and like how, I don't know, like how the Joshua trees sort of like lend themselves to the landscape a little bit. So we definitely wanted to bring a lot of that in. And so me and my talented DP, his name was Mike Maliwanag, we went out for a couple days just shooting B-roll of the desert, and knowing that a lot of it would probably make it into the film. But even if it didn't, it would provide like a really good foundation for us to tell the story through the world.
So exciting. Well, can you tell us a little bit about your experience being in residency here, and maybe how you came to find this residency?
Definitely. I was very fortunate to be developing a feature film that's not related to this short film, but it's something that I've been working on for the past 2 or 3 years. And I had done the feature film program at Sundance with it. I had been lucky to be supported by SF Film and Gotham Week, and basically folks at Sundance, as well as a good friend of mine who had done Woodstock before, recommended me for this year's residency. And so I was, having never been to the Hudson Valley, I was very excited to, jump on the opportunity, and, spent a whole month in Woodstock in May, and, had the time of my life, conversing with some of the best mentors I've had on this project, and really just letting nature really, help, I think, like the creative development. So.
And now that you've been in our kind of more lush Hudson Valley versus your desert past of film inspiration, do you see that impacting your art that you made here, or?
I definitely think so. I mean, the mountains are a big part of my feature script. So I did think that was a cool coincidence that, the Catskills are all around us.
Yeah.
And even though my story is set in California and not necessarily, on the East Coast or anywhere like that, I do think that the change of scenery really adds a lot to my story itself, because I don't think stories are necessarily, they need to be authentically location specific, as long as you're bringing in the spirit of it. And so that, I think, you can drop it anywhere, like literally anywhere. And so that's where, like, I think the finished film, when we eventually make it, will have the spirit of Woodstock in it, for sure.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
And hopefully you'll come back and screen it here when it's done.
Yeah, hopefully. That would be great, actually.
Yeah.
I do look forward to it.
And what's next for A Song for Gracie?
A Song for Gracie, we're just really beginning our festival run. So Woodstock is our premiere, which is really exciting for me as a resident and also a friend of the festival. But I think continuing on from here, we're going to hopefully submit 2 festivals across the country and across the world. Olivia, our lead actress, she is Australian by nationality, so we're going to sort of explore, some Australian, New Zealand festivals as well, so we can bring sort of, her community there. And just to get more people to see it, because as they say, a film isn't really finished until you have an audience in front of it and experiencing it. So.
Yeah, it's exciting to hear that collaborative screening effort. Was it that way when you were filming the short as well? Was it a very collaborative process? I mean, you said you worked closely with the writers.
Extremely collaborative. We obviously, the actors and I, we rehearsed a lot beforehand, but also, made sure to leave just enough for the day itself, because it's like any kind of performance, dance or theater, you got to get there and sort of preserve a little bit of that magic for the moment. And then we really, I think, like did a lot of good work on set, and good things came out of that, I think. Yeah, and it continued throughout post as well. The editing process and like deciding on a length for the film, and like what still belonged to the film and what can be taken out, for example. All that was a very, I think, like great learning process for all of us. So.
And was this your first short, or is this a most recent in a long line of shorts?
It's my most recent short. I had done 2 or 3 before this, both documentaries and narrative. And, most of them had been focused on Los Angeles or the greater Los Angeles area. And I suppose this kind of falls in line with that, but it is exciting for me to like be able to say that it's the first short that I didn't write, or I didn't participate in the writing of the story, in the beginning at least. And so that, I think, is exciting for me personally, because I get to share in a vision, with people, and just shooting out in the open desert for the first time. So I definitely want to go back out.
Exciting. And how did you come together with the writers? Did you know them prior to this?
I did know the writers prior to this. Iman, I had worked with, the lead actor of the film. I had worked with about 4 or 5 years ago on a feature film, a student feature film, while I was at USC Film School.
Great.
And we cast him for the lead, and he was phenomenal. And we really connected right away, and like we became kindred spirits in that sense. So I think in the back of our head, we were always wanting to work together again. And so, when he approached me with this story, I was telling him, like, let's do it, because, I've been itching to work with you again on set.
Oh, sweet. Yeah. That's great. And did he share with you any of his inspiration behind the story? Is it autobiographical at all?
It's interesting because I think it's autobiographical to an extent for both of them, in the sense that the story came about, I believe, as an extension of their relationship and like their exploration of their own relationship, because they are in a relationship in real life. And I think that's where I think like the story came about, where I think they were driving, might be, hopefully I'm quoting this right, but they were driving through the desert themselves. And I think the idea of like one of them being blind or not being able to see the other person came up. And so, the question of like responsibility and like care and how deep the love would be still.
And also desire.
And desire. Yeah. And desire for someone else, and that someone else being like a past version of themselves, possibly. Yes. So all of that really resonated with me, especially just how personal I think it was for them.
Definitely.
So,
yeah. And I love the magical realism of the film. I think that's one of my favorite little like genres, when it's in a hint of something that just totally transforms the film. It's very exciting.
Yeah.
But what was it like to work with them, knowing that this was their personal story? Did it impact how you approached directing them at all?
That was always one of the most exciting things for me, because with something so personal, that it will release a lot of creativity, I think. And that process occurred in the script stage, where we sort of all pitched our ideas to sort of fix it a little bit, but also in the rehearsing process, where I could just tell there were certain moments or certain options we were throwing at each other that worked better than the others, or were more effective than the others. So even then in pre-production, I think we were already exploring each other's relationships to each other and their relationship, and I could see things come out where I was like, okay, this is fascinating. It was a challenge that I really welcomed, and I think they were both very brave about like sharing that with me, and like sharing that with the crew. So
it's very intense and very exciting. You can definitely feel it come through in the film, that like intense energy of their relationship. Yeah. Well, do you want to plug for us maybe where we can find your work and what we can catch you doing next?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, my name is David Liu, and I'm the director of A Song for Gracie, and I'm also developing a feature called Santa Anita through the Woodstock Film Residency. You can find some of my work at JourneyWestPictures.com. That's the name of my production company that I run with my partner, and yeah, I mean, it's we're looking forward to further developing Santa Anita as a feature, and hopefully making it soon, and continuing to promote A Song for Gracie, and introducing it to new audiences on the festival circuit.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us,
Thank you.
we hope you enjoy the rest of your Woodstock Film Festival.
Thank you. You too.
All right.
Good
It
luck
was
with
so
the
nice to meet you. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Have a good one. Thank you very much. Okay. Hi.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you? Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm Hallie. I'm a shorts programmer here.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah. I brought a water.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi, I'm Hallie.
Sam.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Well, welcome. We're so excited to have you on our podcast today. And
Thank you.
could you maybe introduce yourselves to the camera? Let us know which films you're a part of. Yep. And are you both short filmmakers?
Yes.
Yeah. So let us know which blocks your films are a part of.
Sure. So my name is Julio Palacio. I'm the director of Michaela's Voice, A Letter to the World.
And my name is Sam Hansen, and I'm the producer of Michaela's Voice, A Letter to the World.
Exciting.
And
Great.
we screened yesterday at the Coming of Age.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, it's so great to have you guys here. Have you ever worked with the Woodstock Film Festival before?
This is our first time here,
First time here? So exciting. And where are you based?
out of Atlanta.
Atlanta. That's right. Exciting. And it has Michaela's Voice. It screened at Tribeca, right?
Yeah, we've been kind of doing the whole festival circuit. So
Yeah.
we started at Slam Dance, and then Atlanta, Cleveland, Tribeca, and we won Best Short Doc at Tribeca.
Yeah. So exciting.
Yeah.
That's very gratifying. And now that you're back in New York, is this the last of your festival circuit for a while, or are you going to keep trucking along?
We saved the best for last. So Woodstock is our last stop.
That's great.
Before, yeah, I think that's all we got in the list.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about your film and maybe how it came to you, what made you decide to pursue this story?
Sure. You want to talk about the film, and then I'll talk about the history, how we got into the project.
But it kind of is the history. You got.
So, Michaela's Voice is a short documentary about an autistic teenage girl who was born nonverbal, and she's probably going to be nonverbal her entire life because she has a partially deleted chromosome.
Right.
So she hasn't been able to communicate for 14 years, and her parents tried everything that they could to see if she could speak, so speech therapy and everything that they could find, but nothing. So people were not really sure if she was there or not. The parents knew, but it's hard to tell when the kid is not able to express themselves. And 2 years ago, they found this thing called letterboarding, which is basically just like a laminated piece of paper with letters on it. And turns out that she can communicate.
Yeah.
But not only that, she's like a genius, and she's a poet, and she's saying the most beautiful things about life, about how she sees the world, about autism, and she also wants to be an advocate for autistic kids that are silent. And so it's basically the story of that journey, and it's told from her perspective. So what makes the film different, we say, from other films is that since she can't communicate, what we did was audition voices based on a description that she gave us of what her dream voice would sound like, and so she picked the voice that kind of narrates all of her writings through the film. Yeah.
And I think probably one of the things I loved most about your film was that I think documentaries, especially about people who are nonverbal or have disabilities, is that we want to make sure we're not being exploitative or, telling a story that isn't ours. But you seem to have established such an intimate, caring relationship with this family that really allowed you to tell their story with such grace. And how did you establish that connection? Did you know this family before making this film? How did they come into your life?
I met the Michaela's dad years ago, like 5 years ago. I used to work at an agency as a director, directing commercials, and I directed a commercial, and the client wanted original music for that commercial. So they paired me with Needles, that's his artistic name, Michaela's dad.
Yeah.
And so he made the music for that commercial. It was really cool. But just to kind of like see his world, the musicians and studios and like rappers, he at the time he had like 2 Grammys already. It was like super cool, and I was like, I want to make a documentary about this guy.
Wow.
That year he was nominated for a Grammy, and so when he found out, he told me, and I was like, I'm just gonna follow you the 2 months leading to the Grammys. I just want to see what your life is like.
Yeah.
And I just got a camera, a few friends, and we started following this guy for months. And he actually took us to the Grammys, which was really amazing experience. And I was like, okay, this is cool. This is going to be a cool story about this super successful music producer. But when we got to the edit room, the story was the relationship that he had with Michaela. And that's kind of what we told them. But at the time, she didn't communicate.
Right.
And then I left the agency, so I kind of like lost touch with that project. And then 4 years later,
and then it was right after the pandemic was starting to open back up, and you had just had Leo, and so we went out to lunch, and Korea and Minyana walked into the restaurant, so it was kind of a reunion, not seen them for a number of years.
Wow.
And just see that conversation of catching up with them. They said, you're never going to believe it, Michaela's communicating, and she has a foundation, and we want to make a film for her foundation. And so it just started there, and it's just grown into this unbelievable, we never imagined it would, be at Woodstock Film Festival or any film festival. It was mostly just telling her story and talking about it. And so it's just everyone that's gotten on board since, which is why it's made it here, is just like everyone wants to donate time and resources and just be a part of Michaela's world.
Yeah.
Incredible.
And I think you said something really cool, which is like the film is not exploiting her story, but it's kind of like from her. It feels that it's from her.
Definitely.
And that's the first time where I kind of like surrendered to her voice, like completely. And when I showed this film to one of my friends, he said like, oh, this is not your voice as a filmmaker. And I was like, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because this is not about me, this is about her. So the music, the cinematography, everything comes from her, and I think that strong perspective is what makes the film resonate with the audience.
Definitely. You can feel that while the communicator lettering tool is a tool of her voice, so then is the film eventually. It becomes this extra step of her finding her expression. And how involved was she with creating the film with you? Was she, you said she was involved in the music. What did that look like?
So she wasn't really involved in the creation per se, but everything that you hear was written by her,
right,
from all of the letterboard sessions. So I think that's what makes it more personal. And she was involved in selecting her own voice, which is great. Other than that, we just showed it to her at the end, and then because we wanted to see it was really important for us that she liked the film, and then we were expecting like this long poetic answer, but she only said tears, thank you. And so we knew like, okay, we've done something that is representing who she is, and she's really happy with the film. She's going to all of the screenings, and she's embracing this kind of like new stardom in a way, she's a superstar. When we won in Atlanta, she went on stage for a Q&A, and she introduced herself in front of this huge audience, which she probably would have never done before. And she said, my name is Michaela, and I'm the star. So it's just so cool to see that she's coming out of that show.
Yeah, and what's next for Michaela and what's next for you guys?
Next from Kayla's Voice, the film, it's going on Netflix on December 11th. So for everyone to view at home or wherever. Yeah, so we're just kind of super excited about that and hoping that it's just amazing that it's going to reach such a huge audience just and be able to kind of reach into people's homes rather than, just have it just at film festivals. So we're super excited.
Great. And what's next for Michaela's Foundation? Do you want to give it a little plug?
Sure. So we have been working with a bunch of different people. We have an impact campaign going on. When they started the film, they wanted to raise funds so that they could help other kids that maybe don't have the resources that Michaela has to be diagnosed early. Sometimes that's one of the issues. People that don't have the resources are not diagnosed too late, or people don't really know what they have. And they actually bought the land to create a center. And through the impact campaign, we have been able to get that campaign going and getting people involved so that we can fulfill that journey.
Great. And where can anybody find this campaign if they feel moved by the film and want to participate and donate?
MichaelaMovingAutism.com.
Great. Exciting. And so you guys are here through the end of the film festival this weekend?
We're here today and then we're leaving tomorrow. We gotta go back to Atlanta.
And how have you enjoyed the festival so far?
Oh, it's so great. It's such a beautiful location. The lineup is amazing. The films that we have been able to watch are just crazy. So, and it's so great to meet such talented filmmakers all over the place. People are so super chill as well.
Yeah,
so,
and now it includes you. Super chill, cool filmmakers.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. And we will see you probably with your next project. We hope you come back to us.
We'll be back.
Thank you so
All right.
much.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Have a great day.
You too.
Yeah,
Hi, how are you? Hi, I'm Hallie. I'm a shorts programmer.
I'm Cooper.
Hi, I'm Shannon. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Shannon. Nice to meet you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Well, why don't you tell the camera and the people watching at home a little bit about who you are, what film you're with, and what you did on the film.
All right. My name is Cooper Burkett. I'm the director and the creator of the film Forever Chemical. I was diagnosed with lead poisoning when I was 9 months old. The construction site below my apartment contaminated my apartment with lead dust, and I got really sick. I got pica, which is the eating of non-food items. So I was eating my bed. I was eating walls, sheetrock, books. And I also still suffer from those effects today. So short-term memory loss, anemia, asthma, processing issues. And this happens all over the country. The EPA estimates that nearly 500,000 kids across the country are diagnosed with lead poisoning. And I'm trying to make a difference. Forever Chemical is about a couple of things. One, it's about my story and just really trying to show the damage of what it does to a kid. It's also about trying to get this law passed, the Lead Paint Right to Know Act, which we didn't know. We didn't know that there was lead in our house, and so this law, it creates a database, and when you're selling your home, do you want to take this?
Yes. I'm his mom, and I'm remember her. So the Lead Paint Right to Know Act, basically what it does is when you go to sell your home or you go to rent a dwelling, it would mandate that you would need to test your home before you do that.
Right.
And then you'd have a statewide database. So in our case, we didn't know that there was lead in the dust that made him sick. If we had known, then we could have done something about it. We were lied to. We were told that that there was nothing in the dust. So this way, everybody would know whether or not their home was safe, because you would need to test your home. And not only that, you would know where the lead was located. Now, there was literally just an article today in the Washington Post about a story in Jamestown, New York. And it actually was very eerie, because what happened to this poor young kid, it was so similar to Cooper, where his lead level shot up to 22. Cooper's went up to 19. Both of them stopped speaking. Both of them got pica. Both of them became very aggressive and violent. The problem is that this poor kid went up this high and then he went up twice. So now as a 5-year-old, he barely speaks. Whereas Cooper's lead level, we were able to get it down. And within a year, he started speaking again. But the pica lasted for years. The aggression lasted for years. He still has processing issues.
But going back to the documentary.
Back to the documentary, sorry.
Like I said, I'm trying to make a difference, and I'm really trying to raise awareness about this because I feel like it's my duty as somebody who suffered this to not just keep it hidden underneath the rug, but I also want to show my generation how to be involved in the justice system. The documentary follows me lobbying in Albany. It shows me testifying to the city of health, housing, and buildings, and I feel like I'm just trying to do so many things with this one film.
And actually, he has made quite a difference in that. And when we joined these groups in 2023, we got 3 laws passed, including the Lead Pipe Right to Know Act. So the Lead Pipe Right to Know Act was passed, and now we just need the Lead Paint Right to Know Act.
And how far along are you with that one?
Well, it was pretty disappointing last. I mean, we had over 30. We had 34 sponsors or 35 sponsors, co-sponsors in the assembly, and 24 in the Senate. And the majority leader, for whatever reason, didn't bring it to the floor. They get so many bills, and sometimes it's like, okay, in 2023, you got X amount of bills. Now this year we're going to concentrate on something else. So this one bill, unfortunately, didn't get out of committee and wasn't brought to a vote. So now we're trying to really raise awareness this year, trying to get the public to contact their local officials, their local assemblyman, their state senator, and say, I want this bill passed. And so we're having a press conference on Wednesday. We're doing a presentation to our CB1 board to pass a resolution. And then we're just going to start the lobbying season all over again in February.
Yeah, so exciting. And it's so incredible that you were able to use film as a part of this campaign. Did you always know you wanted to, make a documentary about this, or did it come out of a necessity for raising awareness?
I think it came out of a necessity. In the beginning, it started out with just trying to create a trailer for so that these groups that we joined could put on their social media page. But then it got a lot of traction, and I realized, like, I'm in a school where they have a film program. So I'm in the film program, and I was just using as many resources as I could to try and it came out of nowhere, kind of.
All of a sudden, as we were going through and we were lobbying last year, like our many trips to Albany, we started interviewing people, and Cooper was interviewing, and actually Assemblyman Rivera from Buffalo is going to be coming to the screening tomorrow, and he's going to be, joining Cooper for the talk back. But it was really Cooper, and a lot of these organizations, they'll tell you, they can sit there in these offices and at these hearings and speak about the stats until they're blue in the face. But when somebody who actually has experienced this goes up and talks about it from a personal standpoint, it helps. And the film has made such an impact too. It really has. He was pushing the little trailer that he did. And then all of a sudden we were like, well, we do have a short. And now actually what we're hoping is we will get this law passed this year. And then we would like to take it nationwide. We would like to see it go. We would like to see a nationwide law passed for the Lead Paint Right to Know Act. So
it's incredible.
Yeah, we just keep filming.
It's an ongoing endeavor.
Yeah. And have you shown your film at other festivals, or is Woodstock?
This is the premiere. Yeah.
Very exciting.
Yeah. He actually got into Austin too. So tomorrow is the first day of Lead Prevention Week. Mm-hmm. So we have that. Then the presentation for the CB1 board, the press conference with Senator Kavanaugh, and releasing some organizations did some studies and they're proposing regulations as well as the Lead Paint Right to Know Act. And then we're finishing the week with a screening at Austin. So it's like bookended by
Film
two
festival.
festivals.
Yeah.
So
It's so exciting.
yeah.
Very exciting.
Quite
And
hectic.
Yes.
do you want to plug what block your film is in so that people can come and join you?
Yeah, it's tomorrow at 10:30 in the
Community
community
Center.
center. Yes.
Yeah.
Great. And what's the title of the film block?
It's
Forever Chemical.
Yeah, it's Forever Chemicals, the name, and then it's the teen shorts.
Teen Shorts.
So there is, I think it's standby only at this point,
Yeah.
but please
It's
come
a very
because,
exciting one.
you know, I may have a few extra tickets. So, you know, come and hopefully you can get in.
And where can everybody find your work if they want to get more involved in this journey?
I would go to End Lead Poisoning at on Instagram. We're working on a website right now so that we can direct people to their representatives, and also we want to have it like a concentrated source where people can quickly do things to make small little things to make, you know, these bills roll out. So, but End Lead Poisoning on Instagram and Facebook, but Instagram is where we're getting more active.
Yeah. And where will you be screening at Austin Film Festival? In what block?
That I'm not sure. I think it's the youth program too.
program.
So
So if any of our followers are in Austin, be sure to go show some support at the end of the month.
yeah,
Wow, very exciting.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining
Thank
us.
you.
We can't
Thank
wait to
you.
see your film tomorrow.
Thank you.
And have a great rest of your festival.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Great to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice
Thank
to
you
meet
so much.
Bye. Hi, come on in.
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good.
I'm Hallie. I'm a shorts programmer.
Hey, Michael.
Hi, Michael. Nice to meet you. Is anybody joining you?
No, my co-creator is on a screening right now.
Okay, great. Well, have a seat.
Take that.
Great. Well, maybe you can introduce yourself to our watchers and just let us know what film you're involved in, what is your role in the film,
Sure.
and what block you're screening in.
Okay, so we screened on Thursday, actually. Our film is an animated short called Nostril. It's a stop motion short. I was the director and writer and lead animator on it. This was a collaboration between myself and Shay Dong, who was my thesis partner. This was our capstone project at the School of Visual Arts, MFA computer arts program.
Very exciting. And can you tell us a little bit about what the story is?
Sure. So it's about basically boogers and relationships. It's about a woman who is kept awake by her husband snoring, which eventually causes sort of this warp that sucks her into his nose. And inside, there's a whole world of gooey creatures and things that she has to battle her way out. So we sort of like to say it's like kind of a look at relationship struggles, but with a lighthearted tone. It's very influenced by older horror films from the 50s and 60s, sort of that sci-fi boom.
Very sounds like The Blob.
Yeah, The Blob, that's sort of like, especially in the score, you know, it references that sort of film. One of the type of horror films that I really love are altered scale movies, like where things that are small are blown up to giant proportions, or things that are normal size get shrunk down. So The Incredible Shrinking Man, or The Amazing Colossal Man, which is about a giant man, or The Attack of the 50-Foot Woman, Them, about giant ants, or, you know, tarantula. You know, it's always big bugs and stuff. But, you know, those films are always tend to have like a global sort of implication where it's, or an environmental slant, or a sort of a Cold War undertones where it's, you know, atomic energy has caused these things to get bigger, or, you know, some sort of
Mad scientist.
Yeah, mad scientist. So for this, it was like, okay, how do we take a story like that and couch it in, you know, more personal, intimate sort of relationship dynamics? And sort of,
Exciting. And would you consider your film a horror short, or?
I would, but it was programmed here in the family-friendly animation block because it has a horror style to it, and
but a lighter
aesthetic.
tone.
Lighter tone. You know, it's not too scary, and I show it to my niece who's 6, and But we also get programmed to different audiences because horror films seem to respond to it just because it's very clearly in that aesthetic.
Yeah.
But animators can also, appreciate the people that like animation, and then anybody that just has someone in their life that snores or who has ever been around someone that snores, I think, can relate to it. So, yeah, I think we hope to have a broad appeal for that reason.
Exciting. Would you consider yourself a genre filmmaker? Do you gravitate towards the horror thriller genres?
I definitely do. I said this in our Q&A the other night. Like, I definitely watch mostly horror films. If I had to pick, what do I log the most hours watching? It's horror films. But I never really have made or wanted to make or had it in me to make like a real R-rated horror movie, something that would scare a lot of people. I think even if I've tried to do that, I start to like insert something a little more playful. I grew up in a time when in the early Tim Burton films, and that was sort of, his films are sort of like that, where it's they're horror influenced, but he's never really, outside of like Sleepy Hollow, he hasn't made a real horror movie. And I think it's that aesthetic, but in a more playful way that I've always liked.
Something I love asking people is, do you remember the first thing that ever scared you on screen? And it doesn't have to be a horror movie.
Yes, it was. I don't know how I saw this. My mom was watching it. It's Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. You know that movie?
Joan
it was
Crawford.
It was so disturbing.
Was it The Hangers?
It was just her, like her whole performance with her dressing as like trying to dress like her childhood self.
Oh, yes, not Mommy Dearest.
Mommy Dearest. Yeah, but Joan Crawford is in it. It's her
both
and,
of them,
and Betty
and
Davis. And it was so disturbing. And I went back and watched it a few years ago, thinking, okay, like I was just a kid, and I was still very creeped out by it. It's a very disturbing film.
Very. I wonder if that had any influence on you with like the very interconnected relationships.
Yeah. But yeah, that's one of the first film memories, and that's not even. I don't know what you would call that. It's a thriller or a psychological horror movie. But
definitely dark.
Very dark.
Yeah.
But horror movies, I rarely watch them to be scared. It's more just the visuals that I kind of respond to.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and the playfulness of them.
Yeah.
So.
I think even it doesn't have to be a horror film to scare you. Like sometimes
war
the most
films
benign things scare. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, I remember the first time I was ever really scared by something on screen was the children's movie Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, The Child Catcher.
Yeah.
Like, just probably the people making it didn't think it would scar generations.
Right.
It totally did.
Yeah. Yeah. It's often the things that like leave me most chilled or it's like a war movie or something.
Maybe like how angry you get at your partner for snoring. The fury that rises.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, do you want to plug maybe where we can find your work and
sure.
What's next for you?
Yeah, you can learn more about the film on nostrilfilm.com, so nostril spelled like that. And from there you can find myself and Shay, my co-creator. And we're playing a few festivals one in Florida called Spooky Empire, which is a horror convention / film festival, which we're really excited about.
Exciting.
And a few other horror festivals lined up, and
great. And do you produce work outside of film? Since you're an animator, do you make like just visual art?
Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of photography. I didn't have my camera here. And prior to animation, I actually worked in live action. So that was sort of my background before getting into this. This has been the past 2 or 3 years that I've been doing animation. But because it's lens-based and it's stop motion, I can pull a lot of the things that I learned from live action. And it's funny, I was talking with another stop motion animator, and I was like, I do takes like as if it were you're shooting a live action film, where it's like, okay, let's do another take. It's reset. And he was like very surprised by it, and I was like, well, yeah. And I would do like dailies, and I would send it to Shay, and then be like, what take do we like the best? Which is doing another take in stop motion is like several more hours. But that was my mindset, was like, well, I might not like the performance, or it might take me several takes to figure the character out. And so I pulled all of the sort of approach to filmmaking from live action and brought it into animation. So,
Very exciting. Yeah. You can feel that when you watch the film. It has this really live energy to it, despite being animated.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
live
Yeah.
Very exciting. Yeah. And what's next for you?
I actually am now working on a live action short. And continue to do this more experimental, getting into stratified animation, which is maybe too difficult to explain right now. But basically, it's like a log of clay that you make designs in, and you slice it little by little and take pictures of it, and it makes these very psychedelic things. So, yeah.
Great.
Hopefully
Well,
this live action short will be done in the next year.
Nice. Well, we hope you consider screening at Woodstock when you're done with it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would love to come back every year.
Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Appreciate it. Yeah, it's been wonderful
Have a
talking
good
to you.
day. Enjoy the rest of the festival.
Thanks. Oh, do you want to keep?
Yes, I would love this.
This is the lenticular card.
Ooh.
It's animated. So.
Everybody go and follow Nostril. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
It was so fun. It was great. And it was like a rush. Yep. Hold on one second.
Hi.
How are you?
Welcome.
There's only 2 seats, so it would just be, This is mother-daughter is super sweet.
Hi, I'm Hallie. I'm a shorts programmer here.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
This is my daughter, Elizabeth.
Hi. Nice to meet you. Well, why don't we start by you introducing yourselves and letting us know which film you're a part of and what your roles on the film were.
Great. I'm Anna Toomey. I am the director of Left Behind, a feature-length documentary that premiered last night at Bearsville. And this is my lovely daughter, Elizabeth Toomey.
Number one supporter.
Number one supporter.
And were you involved in the filmmaking at all?
Only in support, talking to her, making sure her head was on straight.
Which we all need.
Exactly. She was my emotional support blanket and, so yeah.
And do you want to tell everybody a little bit about what your film is about?
Sure. So it's a documentary and we followed 5 moms in New York City who set out to start the first public school for dyslexic students. And so we really looked at kids falling through the cracks, not getting diagnosed or screened, or the educational support they need in a public system, and how that leads to a school to prison pipeline. There's 50% of incarcerated individuals are dyslexic. So you can just see this pipeline. And we in the film, we really wanted to explore how that comes about.
Yeah. And do you have a personal experience with dyslexia?
Yeah. So our son, Charlie, he's 6 years old. He was diagnosed when he was 6 years old. And we sort of went through the same thing that, these mothers went through. Had a hard time getting him diagnosed, the school recognizing it. And he was able to attend a specialized school and now is in 9th grade and doing great. So, it was great.
Yeah. And so how much are you involved in front of the screen? Do you put your own experiences into the film at all, or is it really more of an interviewing other moms situation?
So it's interviewing other moms and other kids. But obviously, just having gone through that experience myself, I could relate so much to these women. I could relate so much to the kids. So I think that really helped build that bond between us, and helped me tell the story, just because I was so knew the journey that these kids unfortunately have to go through, and then the absolute sort of heartbreak that moms had to go through, and just taking that passion and making great change.
Yeah. And when did you decide I have to make a film about this?
So it was right when he was diagnosed, and sort of watching him go through and struggle and feeling like he was dumb, and recognizing, wow, there's not a support here. So many parents are in my situation. I was a producer at ABC News prior to this. So I left ABC to make my own projects. And this was sort of the one that I really felt like I was really passionate about. And so I found an article about these moms, decided to take a leap of faith, and didn't, filmed with them for 4 years. And it was my first independent film.
Yeah.
So it was really exciting and a huge learning experience.
And has your son watched the film? Do you know what he thinks?
He did. He watched it last night and probably a couple times before, and I think he loved it. And his voice is in it. We have some animation scenes, so it's his voice in one of them, which is, I think he really was excited to watch.
Great.
Yeah.
And, how did you initially connect with these moms? Just by reaching out through the article?
Yeah, reaching out through the article. And it was a cold call. And I talked to one of the women, got to know her really well, met the team. And then it was a little after COVID and sort of during COVID. So we ended up on Zooms constantly. So I actually got to know them really well prior to even meeting them. So it was great. And they were all here last night, which is also
so exciting.
Really, they loved seeing their journey. They're like, this is like, this was our history for 4 years. And they were so happy to see it. And it's a really inspirational film. It's really their drive and what they were able to accomplish is amazing.
Yeah. And as the filmmaker, did you feel like you and the interviewer, did you have to really work these stories out of them, or were they just so ready to tell their stories?
It was, I think as their journey of building the school, they were very comfortable talking about a little bit more. It was a little bit more, I had to build a lot more trust and a lot more getting to know them, talking about their kids, what they personally went through. And that was really the emotional part for them was, and the vulnerability. So that was a lot longer. And, you're a mom, so you want to protect your kids, and so that was also a very big conversation that I had with all of them was they wanted to make sure that I was representing them, I was representing their children and not sort of, just showing one of the hardest times that their kids and them had to go through. So that was really important to me as well as a mother that, that wasn't the case.
Great. And what was your viewpoint during the filming? Were you and your brother on set?
I would go to set every once in a while. I went to one scene where they shot at their pilot school, and that was actually really interesting because we could see the classrooms that were part of their pilot dyslexia program and the classrooms that weren't. And you see the classrooms in the pilot program are so much simpler. They don't have any posters on the wall. The desks are separated. It's a much more centered learning environment. And all the other classrooms, there were posters on the wall. There were books, words everywhere. But in the classrooms with the pilots and the moms, they were much calmer, much more focused. And you can actually see the difference in how the kids learn in their environment.
That's incredible. Yeah. And are you now involved in any sort of foundation or further education about it, or will you take this project further than the film?
Yeah, so we're going to definitely do an impact campaign. And I think there's one of the funders is starting a foundation, which I'm going to be involved in. And it's called Imagine Reading. And it's, really hoping to bring awareness to this issue and then change eventually. So we're sort of working on that now. But yeah, we really do hope that we can get this out to, across the country, lots of different markets, communities, schools, parents, to really raise this awareness.
Very exciting. Yeah. And can you share with everybody maybe where they can find your work, where they can watch your film next, or if there is a foundation that you want to plug for people to get involved in the issue?
So first I want to thank we have two producers, Velvet Strand, Chris Farrell and Larry Mullen Jr., and Green Hummingbird Entertainment. And they were a huge part of this. Their children are also dyslexic, so it was incredibly personal to them as well. And so we've really worked hand in hand on this whole film and will continue to. They were part of the Q&A yesterday. And so, yeah, we'll be plugging away.
Great.
And it's, leftbehindthefilm.com.
Great. And will you be screening anywhere else after Woodstock?
We're going to be at Doc NYC.
Oh, exciting.
So that'll be our New York City festival.
In November?
In November, yep.
And what day? And if anybody can't make it to Woodstock, you can make it to Doc NYC.
November 20th and November 21st, we will be at Doc NYC.
Very exciting. At IFC Center?
We have one at Angelica East, one at IFC Center. And then we're hoping in the future to have a theatrical release. So more to come as we go along.
Great. Well, we'll be sure to follow along.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for talking to us.
you.
Have a great rest of your festival.
Thank you.
Oh, and is this your bag?
Oh yeah, that would be helpful.
Thank you. Hello, welcome.
So it's going to be live stream. Oh, amazing. Yeah. So you guys are just looking here? And hi.
Hi, I'm Hallie.
Ali Eunice.
Hi, nice to meet you. Welcome.
Director of the Trollstorm. And this is Tanya Gush.
Hi, Tanya. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Pleasure. Protagonist.
Great. Well, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the camera and to those watching. You can tell us what film you're a part of, what role you had in the film, and then maybe just a short description of the film.
Yes. So, hi everyone. I am Eunice Lau, and I'm the film director of Trollstorm. The story Tanya's following Tanya's journey to fight back against Nazis who trolled her, and by filing a lawsuit against them in 2017, right? Yeah. And as a result of which, she won a 14 million settlement. But it's really about how Tanya's courage in fighting back is a story about how we can actually push back against hate, and basically that the fact that the point she's trying to make is that hate is not protected under the First Amendment, which is very important for us today, as we are facing increasing political violence and trying to understand, where that violence is coming from, and also exploring the rise of white nationalism being the root cause of a lot of that hate. Right?
Yeah, especially I'm a mom from Montana, and one day my life was uprooted by the Daily Stormer website after I was asked to sell real estate by the mother of a neo-Nazi, and they trolled me. They published all of my personal contact information and the contact information of my family, and including my 12-year-old son. And I'm just a private citizen. I was just trying to live a perfectly peaceful life, and overnight my life changed because of hate, only simply because I'm Jewish. And what we lived through was, it's hard to describe the pain of everything in your world, just, one moment living a peaceful, safe existence, and the next moment feeling like you need to run for your life in the middle of the night just because you're Jewish. And Southern Poverty, in the middle of this troll storm, which was terrifying, Southern Poverty Law Center showed up at my doorstep and said, "Tanya, they've crossed the line with your family. Will you be our plaintiff? Will you fight?" And I looked down at these two little boys. They were 9 and 12 at the time. And I could have made this be a horrible, painful memory that my family had to endure forever, or I could set an example for them and say, look, we are on the right side of the history. Haters do not have a right to make us live in fear. Let's fight like rock stars. And you know what? My kids think I'm a rock star. And had we not gotten a chance to fight, I'm not sure we would have had a chance to heal. And Eunice contacted me about making my story after we had finished the lawsuit. We spent 2.5 years fighting these guys. They had 300,000 followers, this neo-Nazi website. And when we were able to prevail, win, and shut them down, it was a win for every mother in our society who has ever felt sad for their children for being hated just because of who they are. This is not just about anti-Semitism. This is about any marginalized community that is hated just for existing. And Eunice contacted me and said, let's make a movie. And, and I said, you know what, Eunice, can we educate? Can we use this? Can we change the world? Can we help educate people about haters and what we can do when faced with hate? And can we educate and say, and tell the story about how dangerous this rise of hate in America is so prevalent, and what we can do about the rise of hate in America. And Eunice said, this was my goal. And I said, okay, Eunice, I'm in, let's make this film. And it's turned out even better than I could ever imagine. It's been such an honor to be part of, and this film will change the world. I hope everybody watches it and learns from it and understands. And most importantly, I hope that they walk away with a sense of hope that love will always prevail. Right. That haters don't have a place in this world. We will hold them accountable, and love will win.
And how did you two connect? What made you so inspired to tell the story?
So my previous documentary, Acceptable, it looks at the small American dad trying to understand why his son attempted to leave the country to join places. And in a way, it was him, son being indoctrinated, so, towards an extreme ideology. But a lot of that had to do with, again, the root cause of it was Islamophobia that's caused by white nationalism. Sure. And so after my film went on air on PBS, one of the viewers contacted me and said that someone should look into Tanya Gersh's story. And I was very curious that, the viewer actually saw similarities between what happened to the Somali American family and a Montana Jewish American mom and her family. Right. And then I realized that, he was right. That it is, in a way, we are dealing with hate that, science is not just something that is, prevalent only to her and the community, but to a lot of us, and we have to stand up and be allies to each other. So I felt that this was, in a way, an opportunity for us to look further into, what is actually fueling and funding the rise of white hate. And for us to also show up and say, how can we fight back? And her courage in doing that, is what motivated me to tell this story and contact her about it.
Yeah, Tanya, your courage is so inspiring, but one has to think you didn't. It's sad that it was a requirement of you to be so courageous when you were living a private life. And I'm wondering, were you aware of the presence of the neo-Nazis in your community before you had experienced their direct hatred? I mean, of course, living as a Jewish woman in this country, I'm sure you were aware of the dangers of anti-Semitism, especially maybe in places like the Midwest. But what had been your interaction with them before this?
Absolutely nothing. Do you know what? I was living such a just beautiful, peaceful life. I had never, ever experienced anti-Semitism. I was in such denial. I really thought we had so won this war. We have been teaching the Diary of Anne Frank in 8th grade classrooms for so many years. I just assumed that this was old news. Of course, people think white supremacy is bad, right? But something changed. There was this shift in 2016 once this happened. And this whole thing started with a video broadcast that's of a neo-Nazi named Richard Spencer saying, "Hail Trump, hail America," and putting his hand in the air. And don't get me wrong, this film is not about politics. It's simply my story of what I experienced starting with that moment. And what happened at that moment that went so viral all over this country is that every hate group in America decided, you know what? we no longer have to hide our identity as being haters. We can actually go and have our hate parties above ground now. We can just mingle in regular society and be justified in doing it, because look at the rhetoric that our president is spewing. He's telling the world that there's good people on both sides of a neo-Nazi hate march, and it emboldened our country. And that is exactly when I started to pay attention to the shift, not only in my life, but in the entire country, and all of the other people around me that also started to become attacked and burdened. But yeah, no, I was really, I often use the term de-virginized. I was very naive, and then one day this happened to me, and I was just knocked off my feet. And I think it's part of what made me a warrior, to tell you the truth, is that I was so naive, and I was so shocked by my own naivety, that I started to truly dive into this, learning about this new force that has always been here in this country.
New and old.
It's always been here, but it hasn't been accepted as the norm. And you know what? I want it to go back underground. This is kind of what my case is about. It's First Amendment protected to tell me that you don't like me because I'm Jewish and that I should have died in the Holocaust with the rest of my people. Totally protected by the First Amendment speech. You are allowed to do that all you want. What you can't do is get a whole big gang together and rally them up and get a group and say, hey, let's make these people feel unsafe, or let's make this person feel unsafe. That is terrorism. That is not protected. And that's what a federal court judge laid down on the table and said, America, take note with Tanya Gersh versus Andrew Anglin. If you're a hater and you organize to terrorize, you will be held accountable.
Right. But it's so interesting to hear you say that you hadn't necessarily thought of it as political, or yourself as political. But I think at the bottom of it is that the political is personal and the personal is political. And by telling stories, that's how you get progress, because it's almost impossible to hate somebody once you know their story. And so being able to personalize your experiences, I'm sure what was so effective about your case and what is so powerful about your film is that it's much easier to hate a group of people from a distance, but then you bring us right into this whole issue and allow us to really experience your personal journey in a really powerful way. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
No, thank you. So for those who did not manage to catch our film at the festival, the good news is that we have decided to release the film early, so they will be able to hopefully influence, us to vote in the right direction.
Great.
So it will be available on Apple TV and Google Play from next week,
Apple
22nd
TV,
of October.
22nd.
Yes. So
please download it, watch it.
Yeah.
I want the world to watch it, and the timing of it coming out is so important.
Definitely.
I want the world to watch it. Trollstorm, October 22nd.
Trollstorm.
Apple TV,
Great.
Google Play.
Thank you.
Is there any social media you want to plug where we can find your work and explore more about what you've been talking about?
Yes, you can learn about our film. Follow us. We are going to try and do, bring the film out into the communities, and especially to schools. So follow us on delphinfilm.com, where you can find more information about, our current and, previous.
And I've been traveling the country for the past 5 years since the lawsuit ended, speaking at different organizations, bringing hope in a really dark time, and mostly to Jewish organizations. And but now I'll be traveling with the film, and they can contact us anytime if they have a school or a civic organization or a synagogue or not. And again, it's not just a Jewish film. This is a film about anyone who's ever been marginalized. I've spoken to a few LGBTQ groups that really identify with my story, and so all they have to do is contact us. They can contact us through Eunice, and I will come to the group. I will speak and hopefully leave the group with a sense of hope and hope and courage to become upstanders themselves.
Incredible. Well, thank you so much for joining us and for bringing your film to our festival.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
we
you.
hope you have a great rest of your festival.
Yeah, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good one.
Hey, I'm just gonna pop on here. Thank you so much for doing such an amazing job. I hope you guys are enjoying this live stream. What an intense conversation. There's a lot of people that are really passionate about their work, so I love that we can give them this platform. I hope you're able to continue hosting. I don't know if you need to run and
I have to go do another intro for our LGBTQ blog in Kingston, if anybody's going to be joining us.
Yes, I live in Kingston and I walk past the center all the time, so you guys got to go check it out. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Katie.
I so appreciate it, and thank God we have another host lined up. So you can come join us. We're gonna basically have a switcherooski, which we can just take a break for a quick second, and we'll be right back.
Thank you.
Awesome. You can actually go through that.
Nice.
That exit over there. And so welcome. We're going to have The Wake is next, I believe. No, we have two animated shorts, folks that are coming, The Gardening, which is a super, super cute, beautiful film. There's a lot of animation blocks happening. Today there's 6, which is why our lovely hostess Amanda couldn't make it last time, but for the last day, because it's day 3. But she's doing the Q&As for these folks, and so now we've got another host that's gonna help us out. Is a student from SUNY New Paltz, if she can join us. And here she is. She's coming through the curtain there. I'm Katie, by the way. I'm producer of the live stream. We're so happy to be here at the 25th anniversary. And I'm going to let you take it away.
Hi, I'm Jamie Case. I'm a student from SUNY New Paltz. I'm working as an intern at this event. This was kind of a last minute thing, but I'm super excited to hear from 2 animation directors. They're coming in now. Hi, nice to see you guys again.
If you could mention the background noises, we have filmmakers coming in.
Yeah, we do have multiple filmmakers coming in right now, so there's a little bit of background noise, a lot of hustle and bustle here at the Woodstock Film Festival. I'm really excited to talk to you guys. So you both have animated films, right?
Yes.
And remind me again, introduce me to yourselves. What's you guys' names?
I'm Sarah Beebe, and my film is Gardening. It's in the Mature Animation Block, which was last night.
Awesome, and you?
And I'm John Quinn. My film is Free Snakes, and it's playing in the Fiercely Independent block at 5 today.
Okay, nice, awesome. So describe to me, Sarah, your film. What's it about? Inspiration, things like this.
So my film is about a woman who experiences a sexual assault and goes on a quest for healing and justice. And it's called Gardening because it's set in her inner world, which is metaphorically represented as a garden. So I was just saying that it's dealing with some quite heavy themes, but there are also moments of levity, and it's very magical as well. You've kind of got lots of life force and strong visuals as well. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
So how long did it take you to make this film?
10 years.
Oh my gosh! Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That
I
is
didn't
awesome.
tell you that yet.
18 months.
But obviously, like, not full time. I was working on it because I work in the animation industry as well. So I was working on it alongside like teaching jobs and like film jobs. So I work at Cartoon Network and like Titmouse and stuff as well. So in between bits and pieces.
Yeah. So a lot of love went into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So for Free Snakes, describe to me, what is it about? What is the premise?
It's crazy. Someone told me it would get easier to answer that question over time, and it has not. It's a comedy. It's kind of, this guy pulls a prank where that's where the title comes from. He leaves a box out, maybe free snakes, and he thinks it's hilarious. He's the guy at the bar that like no one wants to talk to, like the like drunk stoner uncle type. No one cares, but then it's only 4 minutes. I don't want to give it all away, but somebody go. It's at 5. Whoever's watching this. It's essentially just like a misconception. It just kind of spirals out of control and just keeps ramping up till.
Awesome. So I have a question for you guys both. I'm kind of interested. What drew you towards creating animated films, or what drew you towards making these stories animated as opposed to something live action?
Yeah, I've got
either one.
Multiple answers. So if you have a quick one.
I can make it quick. I think I enjoy like the process of animation. I do love storytelling as well, but like I think what draws me is the animation, and then like the story is sort of like, okay, I need to animate something. Because whenever I sit down to just animate like nothing, like for this, I can't. It has to be a reason for it. So it's sort of just a vessel for animation.
Yeah. So I think I really like bringing to life other worlds. I'm obsessed with fantasy and magic and telling stories that you can't tell in live action, which is quite a textbook way of explaining this question, but it is true. But then I think there's a second part to it, which is that as an animator, you can just do whatever you want. You're not reliant on necessarily even a budget. You can just have yourself and a computer and a Wacom tablet or like, I don't know, a camera and some puppets, and you can just make whatever you want to make. So it's much more accessible in that way. And I think that's kind of how I got into it, from painting and doing art and just being like, oh, I can make this move. This can be a story, and I don't need to involve a whole crew.
Yeah. So I was going to ask then, is that it's you guys just alone doing the animation, or you have a crew behind it?
So I'm going to massively contradict myself because I had a budget and a crew for this.
Okay.
But that's not how I got into animation.
Okay.
So this film would not have been possible without the support of the British Film Institute. I got some very generous funding from them, and I had an amazing crew. But it's not necessary, and that's not always how I've made films.
And you?
I'm like, I made it by myself. Like I made all the I called the shots, but like I hate that I said that. But I had a lot of people like oversaw it, gave me advice, and like so like I animated all of it and made everything, but like without all the people that have seen it and helped me like in storyboards and stuff, like so I kind of had a crew, but I made it,
So for you guys' films, are these the first time that they're being shown, or have they been shown before?
I premiered at a dance in August, and this is the second public screening.
Okay, cool.
I got rejected from Ottawa, but got into like the Salon des Refusés. Don't know if that's correct. Yeah. Okay, great. So it screened there, but besides that, this is the first one I'm going to, which is really cool. Yeah.
So have you guys enjoyed Woodstock, Hudson Valley? Have you been here before?
I moved here like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
I love it.
It is. I mean, I'm tempted to move.
Yeah, it is nice.
It's really nice.
That's what it does too. I was
Yeah.
here for like a couple weeks in July. Never thought about like leaving. I was in New York City before. Never thought about leaving, and then I went back and I was like, the decay had started. I was just like, I have to go back. Like it's so nice up here.
Yeah.
But the festival also, like, the programming has been so great. Like, there's been so many really moving films that I've seen, and everyone's so friendly. So yeah, having a great time.
Yeah. Not to bring up the classic question, but I don't think you guys have probably been asked this, at least in this setting. What does fiercely independent mean to you? Like, why is it important for you to show your film at a festival that does emphasize independent filmmaking in a way?
That's a really interesting question. And I think because there's been a lot of discussion about how the industry is changing and like AI and the streaming models and that kind of stuff. And I think fiercely independent is taking on a new meaning in this landscape and is becoming almost more important than it ever has been, because we need to have that innovation and creativity to survive and to try and figure out how we're going to get through this moment. So that was what it would mean to me.
I really like it to like meet other people that also do this, and I think like you were saying with like how the industry is changing. Like I feel like like a couple years ago, like you would go on YouTube and see like an independently like animated pilot, and that not that it's not a big deal now, but it's like I feel like I see a new one like all the time, which is incredible because like things like this is like where you meet other people who are doing it alone, and then like those come out where like you get a team of. And it's not a team under like a company. It's like a team comes together on its own and like makes things, which I think is great. So like this, platform to meet people for us, and then also to put out there that like people are doing it, which is really great. Yeah. Like they're really making it happen.
So I'm really intrigued. Without giving too much away, kind of take me through, how you represent that secret garden of the mind, like that separate world of the mind through your animation.
So we start in the real world, and then we transition into the mind of the main character. So you go into her head. So that's the moment where we understand that we're going into in a world. And then the first scene is establishing all of the rules of the world and kind of connecting because you see there's sometimes where you see like real world elements and metaphorical elements and symbolic elements on screen at the same time. So we establish all that at the beginning, and then things get developed as the film goes on.
Awesome. Super interesting. And then for you, I also have a question. What is something that would be like something in your mind? Obviously, it's a little bit shorter, but without giving too much away, what do you think is about your film is like what makes it must see? Why do you think people should see it?
Must see. I don't know. Those your words.
Cool. Hey, I think that for everybody. If they're in this film festival, then yes.
I think.
Or something you're most proud of.
Okay, I showed it at to like my coworkers at one point, and a coworker that a lot of people worked remote, but it was like an event where people came in, and someone that I had like kind of worked with but like never ever met in person, like they came up to me and they were like, we watched it, like right after I texted my husband, like, can you send me a picture of like Uncle so and so, because like she was like, that's the guy. And it was like this moment where I was just like, it's a puppet. It's based off my uncle. Well, it's not. It's a very gross extrapolation. He's not a terrible person. Uncle Arthur, no way you're watching this, but like I love you and it's not you. But that moment, that was like one of my favorite, where like somebody actually like saw this puppet as like that. I gotta show you a picture of my husband's uncle. Like you gotta see this guy, because it's like that was it's insane that someone related on that level. Like they've also been pressured into a corner to have a conversation they didn't want with someone just like this puppet. And I'm like, that's kind of nuts.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So the puppet, is that an animated puppet or that's?
Oh yeah, it's stop motion.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So,
okay.
Puppet, armature, whatever.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah.
All right. So is there anywhere that we can find your guys' work or anything that you'd like to plug in upcoming future, things like this?
I'm on Instagram, Sarah Beebe. So follow the film on Instagram, I think.
And then mine, my name is John Quinn. My Instagram username is John_Quinn_ username. When I made it, it was funny written out every time I had to say it out loud.
You're like, what?
It's a little, all right. It's a dry. And if you think that's funny, I don't know why I keep pointing at the mic. If you think that's funny, that's kind of the dry humor that's freaking. So
yeah, I like
it.
All right, well, it was great to meet you guys.
Yeah, you too.
Thanks for coming on. All right, so that was Sarah Beebe and John Quinn of Gardening and the Snakes film, respectively. We have a couple more people coming up next right now. Hi.
Hello.
You guys are with the babysitter, right?
We are.
Wonderful to meet you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yes. So, what's both of your guys' names? Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Diane Katzberl-Lynette. I'm the director, filmmaker, and
I'm Andrew Bresno, or Andy. I'm the sound designer.
Awesome. Okay, so take me through your film, kind of. Take me through, your inspiration and different things about it. What do you want the people to know about your film?
Ooh, so I made it. It started out of being my thesis film for my MFA in animation, and the idea came from actually a section or inspired by a feature-length idea I had featuring a bear, and then I was like, oh well, kind of back in the past, but not featuring the main character as the main character, kind of something a little bit different. And that's where the idea came from, and it kind of appears like a family-friendly, just kind of the drill sort of story, but it takes a little bit of a different approach and narrative. So I'm curious what people think of it. It's actually premiering in here. So
awesome! Today?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, and I noticed your little bear earrings as well.
Yeah. So actually, my previous film was 360 animation, and it was black and white. And the entire festival run, when I was traveling with it, always wore black and white.
Nice. Okay.
But I haven't acquired like bear anything. So actually going around here, I was looking for something like I need a bear.
Yeah, you can find a lot of bear memorabilia.
Yeah,
in upstate New York.
And I found these, so I feel a little bit more prepared now.
So you're the sound engineer. Take me through kind of the soundscape of the film. Like, what is special about it? What is unique about it?
Yeah. So there's a motif that we have with like the computer in this film. So basically, a section of it has to do with maybe a little while ago, old noisy computer and someone applying to a program.
Yeah.
Maybe not necessarily dissimilar from applying to a film festival or a college or whatever, and plugging away at it and the noises of the machine. And there's a interesting consideration how we fit that into the soundscape of that, how you make the outdoors feel isolated in the scene where they exit the sort of centerpiece. All the action takes place in one place, but then when it escalates, it's all about the characters feeling separated from the world and feeling misunderstood and feeling like the world's out to get them. So how do we make them feel isolated, and how do you put them in an ice box like that sonically?
That's really just an interesting, super interesting explanation. You said it starts off, or it appears family friendly, but then it kind of takes a turn. Can you elaborate on that a little more?
Oh, I mean, it is still family friendly.
Right,
it's coming of age. There's nothing
coming of age. Okay.
Yeah, and there's nothing non-family friendly about it. But it's also narrative arc. It starts with something different, and then something unrelated seems to happen, and it kind of starts to piece together, but maybe doesn't tie in a nice bow, and I feel like that's commonly seen in family-friendly animated films, especially. It kind of starts and it ends at a place of oh, okay, I can see how that perfectly seems together. And my perspective on that is that in life, it actually often doesn't, but you piece it together to make sense in some sort of way to yourself.
Yes.
So the structure was kind of a nod to that.
Yeah, that's awesome, because I feel like in a lot of coming of age movies, people will you'll get that perfect little, bow tied up on the ending, and you'll be like, yes, now life is just perfect, and I've grown up and everything has happened and it's great. So I think I like that take on it. I really do. So
we'll see how it comes across.
Yeah. So describe to me, both of you, something I guess that you would be most proud of from the film, something that you are just super happy with the way it turned out.
I had some private screenings of the film before coming here, and it is on the long side. It's the longest short I've made. It's 8 minutes, including credits, I think, 8.5 or something. And I've heard from a lot of people where they felt like it's not that long. It felt a lot shorter. So because I worried about it being longer, and I don't want it to drag and things like that. So I was happy to hear that. Hopefully this holds up.
For me,
Well, actually, I guess something I have been always really excited about was I first saw Diane's work as Tadpole, so it was really exciting to be able to.
That was a black
like,
and white film.
their last project, yeah. And to be able to go from like experiencing someone's art to being excited about someone's art to being able to work with that someone on their next art. It's really exciting to like see something and then be able to put your mind back into it like that in that way. So especially as like this is my festival for me, so it's exciting to like have this whole like little arc that ends in something. It's not like in some of the other films that maybe will like disappear onto YouTube or something.
Yeah, exactly.
It gets to have like a punctuation mark at the end.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you finished the film and it's just the beginning.
Yeah.
Yes. So remind everybody, where is it premiering today and what time?
It's at the Woodstock Community Center at 5 p.m., which is in an hour and a half.
All right, awesome. And then where can we find your guys' work? Is there anything else you'd want to plug?
Ooh, Tadpole, which we talked about, is not online yet, but that's still in the festival circuit. I also draw cartoons on Instagram, which is CatChat42.
Awesome. And well, I also do photography and some videography for school, some other stuff. So I would be at Edgewater Photo on Instagram. I'm slowly working at having time to do more analog low light stuff, which I'm trying to really break water on. And I'm going to be on 5 films soon. So hopefully you'll see some more of those popping up in my Instagram soon enough.
That's awesome. All right. Well, thank you guys. Thank you for talking to me.
Oh, thank you.
I wish you luck on your premiere.
Thank you very much.
The director and actors from The Wake.
All right, so up next we have the director and the actress from The Wake coming up. They're going to join me to speak about their film.
We'll get the rest.
All right. Fill some time while I'm waiting for the talent. I'm going to get them off the curb and inside.
Hi, it's nice to meet you.
You too. Me too.
So
Brian
you're the
Bright.
director?
I am. Yeah, I made The Wake. Wrote it a couple years ago. Fortunate to make it with a SAG waiver. And we got it done with some terrific talent. Michael Chernus is in it from Severance. He's on another job. We had Rob Yang from Succession, Russ Partridge from Stranger Things, and then today on the way in Julia Randall and Ryan Miller. So it's been a fun ride.
Awesome. So take me through the movie. What's it about?
Oh man, The Wake. Oh, here they come. I'll give you the
we got
introduction
people
just a
coming
second.
now.
Yeah, here we go. So we're gonna do this. Yeah, Julie, why don't you go all the way on?
Sure.
Yeah, Ryan will join you. I think so.
It's also being filmed?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Visual and audio.
Is it live stream?
Yeah.
Right now?
Yeah.
I like it.
Hey.
We can all scooch down.
We can scooch.
Hello.
Let's say hello.
Yeah, we'll just say hello. Yeah.
You said hello.
That'd be cool if this were live.
The monitor here.
Yeah, we can just hug.
Stop touching me.
Get
No,
up
I
real
like it.
close.
We're gonna hug Ryan. Come on.
There's a tiny little chair.
Oh, okay. Brian, I feel like you should be in front. You have the most to say about
No,
it.
they don't.
Are they coming up?
They don't really
Yeah,
want to
they're,
listen to me.
She's presenting me.
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, Brennan. Brennan.
Let Brad,
That's so
let
fun.
Brad
So-
do the whole thing.
So I was gonna say, introducing the movie The Wake that I wrote and directed.
Wait, it's not time yet.
Yeah, we're in it.
It is
live. You
Here
are
we-
live.
Ryan Miller and Julie Randall. Welcome to the live cast. Woodstock.
Are you interviewing us?
No, wait, what
she
are you
is.
doing?
She is. That's it.
What's your
Hi,
name?
nice to meet you. I'm Jamie.
Jamie Ryan. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
That's Brad.
Julia.
We're gonna duck out now. We love you guys. Okay, Brad's leaving.
You're leaving?
Oh,
Yeah, we're gonna
gosh.
let you guys do it. All right, well, why don't you come in? We'll call you in.
Okay.
Yeah, if we need
We'll call you
you.
in.
All right, so you are the main actress in The Wake?
Yes.
Awesome. So what was that experience like for you?
It was amazing. I auditioned for the movie back in, when did I audition for the movie? Like
We zoomed twice.
we zoomed twice, and I just connected with the role like immediately. And it was an amazing experience. I mean, it was a very fast experience. We shot in like 16 days. So it was like, as soon as the camera's rolling, you gotta go.
Right.
And because I connected with the role so easily, it was like off to the races.
Awesome. So
It was great.
describe your character for me. What made you connect so heavily with the character?
So she's like a very independent woman. She's 23, goes to NYU and is a filmmaker. And I would say like one phrase to describe her is like takes no shit.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. She's like sort of been like self-sufficient for a while and finds herself in this group of 3 adult men, and she's like, you know, holds her own in that group.
Great.
So I loved that part of it.
Awesome. And then what was your role in the movie as well?
I was in the movie. I was an actor in the
Okay.
movie. Do you know about the movie?
I kind of just got roped into this, so I'm figuring everything out as we go along.
Well, I didn't want to.
But I would love to learn.
I don't know where to start. You know what I mean? You could be like, "Oh, I've seen it 9 times. You're fantastic," or you could be like, "Dude, I just showed up. What movie is this again?" You know what I mean?
Well, here I am, and I'm ready to learn.
Where did you get roped in from? What were you doing before this?
Well, see, I was just working on scheduling. I am an intern from SUNY New Paltz.
Oh, yes.
That's
Oh,
cool. How's
we
your-
love
wait.
when a woman wins.
We do love when a woman wins.
Wait, so how long have you been? Have you been here all week working at the
I
festival?
just got here today.
Oh,
I got
cool.
here today.
Have you
around
seen any
9.
movies?
No, I have not.
Are
I've been
you
just
interviewing
here
her now?
scheduling. Are you interviewing me now?
I don't know. It's more interesting than talking about myself. I don't know.
I'm
sorry.
curious. I'm curious about your role in the
Okay,
film.
so I will
Enlighten me.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. I wasn't trying to be a jerk, by the way.
No,
Just
that's
so you
okay.
know. Okay. I'm in the movie. I'm the actor in the movie. I play Ethan. Wow, I know, right? Can you tell I've never been an actor before? It's the first time I've ever been in a movie. The first time I ever acted in a movie.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know how to talk about being in the movie. Yeah, I can talk about my character.
Talk about your character, yeah.
It's me, kind
Voice
of.
from off screen. I have to quickly say he's been on stage for 30 years with the band Guster, and I've seen him do that, and I was like, you know what, dude, you need to be acting.
I did wear these pants in the movie too, so
awesome.
I didn't
I
have to
love
have
the
a
pants.
costume.
Where's your white boots?
I had to go. I'll explain later. I'm just in a backpack for the next 3 days. It was a really totally crazy experience to be asked to like remember lines and stuff. You know what I mean? I read the script. There was like 70 pages, and I just kind of yes-anded it. Yeah, I also got roped into it. Not unlike
Little
you.
bit of improv.
You know what I mean? You and I are the
Yes,
same. They're just
yeah.
like, go, and you're like, what do I do? You just do your best.
Exactly.
That's what I did.
And he was awesome. He was
Thanks.
really
You were
good.
awesome too.
I know, right?
Everybody was really good.
Everyone was really good. We were blessed enough to be working with like some of the best New York actors in the history of New York. So I feel like
That's
I'm going to
true.
speak for you
Oh.
right now. My experience with acting is the better the actors are, the better you are, and I feel like we really brought out the best in you.
It's tennis, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
amazing! Because like the first person that kind of came on was this guy Michael Chernis, who's like went to Juilliard, is a real hot shit. Can I say that in the thing?
Yeah.
Sorry, whoops.
Oh, can you curse on this?
Yes.
Okay.
We're all
Shit,
like,
fuck.
yeah. So he was a real actor, and I had sent Brian was a fan of Michael and was like, will you send it to your friend Michael? And I said, I hate sending my famous friends things to do. And I sent it to him, and I was like, listen, I told my friend I would send it to you. We never have to talk about it again. And then 2 weeks later, he called me and he was like, I read that script, and he's like, it's pretty good. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty good. And he's like, are you gonna do it? I'm like, yeah. He's like, could we act together? And I said, yeah. He's like, all right, fuck it, let's do it. And then once we did it, he's like, well, if I'm going to do it, I want to get my friends involved. So he called Ross Partridge, who has like 150 credits on IMDb, a lot of Duplass stuff, and a director and a writer in his own right. Rob Yang, who's just late to the game, just a
We're
murderer.
obsessed with Rob Yang.
A murderer of an actor.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden it was like, I was surrounded by these like real people who don't do this as a goof, and not that I was doing it as a goof, but it really I was like, oh, I really need to I was really nervous, and which is good, and showed up, and we made this really charming, real, scrappy as fuck movie. And can I tell people how many days we shot it?
Yeah,
We shot it in 13 days.
Wow.
This ragtag crew. We had a waiver. It was during the strike, and so everything was chaotic, and I just appreciate there was a real yes-anding with everybody. Like everybody just showed up, and there's like tons of imperfections and burrs on the thing in a way that I find really charming, in a way that I think kind of embodies independent cinema, like not in like an old school way, but in a like, okay, I have this idea, and Brian just like dragged this rock up the hill and just like raised money and did this thing. And one of my favorite things, and I've been working in film actually for a long time as a film composer also.
Yeah, raise the funds. If the producers don't raise the funds.
Yeah, I know. They all did all this stuff. So I've been working. I've been scoring films for 15 years, mostly independent cinema. So I know how the sausage is made from post on, but I had never been in it, like really in it, and have to be relied upon in that way. And just like incredibly talented people, and the amount of fires that just have to get put out every day, especially something on this like such a tight schedule. It's pretty ambitious about what it was trying to do. It was a really beautiful experience. And like, you know, I think that's what just showing up today to this film festival and like being so uncynical about people making stuff, because it's so hard to make things. Like it's especially a film, like it requires so many people to like buy in, and I think that's really beautiful. So it's like a real honor to be part of that.
Yes, I guess I don't have to ask you guys the fiercely independent question then. But I am curious. So you were filming during the strike. What was that like?
I mean, I feel like everyone was like in the best way, like ready to work, because everyone had, I mean, there was COVID and the strike. So like so many people had to take a break. And so I feel like we were all just like super eager to be working. And since we had such a great script, it was like, let's go.
And we also, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this or not, but like we kind of got like more pro people, because like I feel like the DP, like this, like just the crew was just like, they were available, and we were on the front end. Like the timing of this actually was good. Like it's a beautiful looking film and sounding film. Like the production values are very high for something of
Mission
this.
Impossible cameras, the Panavision DXLs were on the shelf, and then like the Sal's like, yeah, take me like an art house movie. Why don't you take the camera? So
Take the good
we
stuff.
got a lot of good shit.
It was kind of interesting. Like, you know, we had to be scrappy, but there were also kind of weird opportunities and just where we popped up in the timeline, you know?
Yeah, and then for you guys, I'm curious. So this scrappiness that they speak of, is this something that you intended when you first set out to make the film, or just kind of blossomed with the nature of, you know, the filming environment?
Well, I think anytime you make an independent film, it's going to be scrappy, right? But, you know, we shot this in Syracuse. Syracuse could have been a better spot.
My hometown.
Yeah.
No way.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, we loved it. Pasta.
Shout out to Syracuse.
What was that place called?
Possibilities?
Possibilities.
Yeah, I gotta say, for those of you watching at home, it's a lot better than the name.
You gotta go to
like,
Possibilities.
It's like, it's not what you think it is. Although it does kind of build into the mythology of it.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
We were there. We love Possibilities.
Gangster town.
Yeah, it's a gangster town. It's the sheer nature of shooting in December in Syracuse.
Oh, yeah.
That's scrappy in its own right.
I will
Yes,
say
it
the
is.
scrappy added to the realism. I went into it wanting to go raw and true and not feel like anybody is acting. I wanted to try to capture real life. And so, you know, the heart of the movie was about grief and loss and challenging preconceptions about male intimacy and monogamy. And so once they got together, you really bought into it. And it didn't feel like we were trying to create something new and special. It was like, let's see what life is like. So it was great.
And you were annoyed with me in real life, just like you are in the movie.
Well, it's just like, okay.
Don't talk about our relationship.
Let me talk about my process as an actor / what I assume the rock star life is.
Are we going over our time? Okay.
Yeah, but you need to admit you were scared of her.
Of course I'm scared of her.
Everyone's scared of me. No, but
That's her
okay.
whole thing.
I've always wanted to be a rock star. I'm not. I'm an actor. I went to classical acting school, and because we had such a tight schedule, like we only had a few takes to do each scene. Some of the scenes are extremely emotional, so I was trying to take my space and like get into it. And this guy's like on my ass trying to fucking joke around before I'm about to do a scene talking about my dead dad. I'm like,
That's fair.
read the room.
You know, I'd never been in that room. I didn't know how to read it. I didn't know how to read it. I was like, oh God.
It's the rock star in him though.
A little puppy. I was like, oh shit, I gotta stay out of the way. And then
on top of it all, you're in Syracuse in December, so that cannot be making things better.
Yeah, exactly. It was part of it.
Exactly. It was so weird though. It's like 9 months ago. It feels like yesterday.
So has it premiered anywhere else before this?
World premiere, baby.
Awesome.
We love Woodstock so much.
Awesome.
We left it for Woodstock.
Where is it premiering? What venue?
Tinker Street Cinema.
Tinker Street.
6:30.
6:30.
Is that a good one?
Yeah.
Scrappy, great.
Good. It's perfect.
That's why they put you in there.
Yeah.
Because it works with the style.
It's a good one. It's
Yeah.
intense. You have to drive 9 miles.
No, you
and
just
you're
walk.
happy there.
Stumble over there.
Yeah.
Wait, no, it's right here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
It's around
right.
the corner. But it's perfect for the style.
Do you know how many seats it is? Is it a big theater or small theater?
It's not huge, but it's not small.
Okay.
Like
Cool.
160.
170.
I don't think I've
Oh,
ever
fun.
been there.
Feels like the Alex.
It's pretty wild.
Cool.
You'll see it.
I've spent
It's
so much
definitely
time
up
at
your-
Woodstock. Yeah.
You look like you could
Yeah.
work there.
I spent a lot of time at Woodstock. Thank you.
You look.
I love the question mark.
Acting.
The cave people.
I wasn't trying to be.
No, none
rude
taken.
with that.
You're reading. You are reading the room. Yeah.
Yeah, she's reading the room.
It's an easy room to read. Let's be
We'll learn
honest.
something.
Let's be honest.
Let's call it before your hip feelings get really hurt.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much. It was wonderful to
Thank
meet
you.
you guys.
This was so fun.
I wish you guys the best for your premiere.
Cool.
Oh my
Good luck
God,
on
thank
your
you.
on your new gig.
Really look forward to it.
Shout out to Katie and Yara and the whole team.
Yeah, everybody's been awesome.
Thank you.
And be there. All right.
So fun.
Yeah, be there 6:30 tonight.
6:30.
Tinker Street.
Thank you.
All right, so that was some of the cast and crew from The Wake. Very lively bunch.
Next up.
Hi, nice to meet you.
I'm just gonna keep rolling.
Nice to meet you. Just
Yeah, you can sit
over
right
here.
there.
Sit over here. Okay.
So, what's your name and what is your film?
I'm Holly, and what's Sunflower Girl?
Oh, Sunflower Girl. Okay, so it's animated.
No, so it's actually a live action short.
Cool.
Yeah. The poster is done by my friend G.
That's a
She's
beautiful
an animator.
poster.
Yeah, thank you. She's an animator, so.
Yeah, that's cool.
You know,
All right,
yeah.
so take me through your film. What's it about? What are things that you want people to know?
So it played in the coming of age block,
Okay.
which was yesterday morning at 10:45. And yes, it's a coming of age film. It's live action and it takes place in New York City. It's about growing up there, which I grew up there, born and raised in New York City. Yeah, and it's about a 13-year-old skater girl who wants to defy her, family responsibilities to skate with a crush.
Okay. Do we want to? Let's just move in a little.
Oh,
bit.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
better if you sit here, actually.
For sure.
Here we go.
So, it premiered yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Was that the first premiere of this film, or has it been other places before?
Yeah, it's been a year actually.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so this is like I don't know what number festival, but we're like in I think 30 now.
Oh wow.
But,
Okay.
yeah, this is our Hudson Valley premiere. So
Oh, okay, okay.
Being from New York and having family up here, it's like
Yeah. Have you been to the
pretty-
Woodstock Film Festival before?
No, I mean I've heard of it, so
Okay.
I was really excited to be here for the first time.
All right, so I guess I'll ask you then, what does it mean, the phrase of the whole festival, fiercely independent, what does that mean to you in terms of your film or your, just
Yeah.
career and everything?
I feel like I being here for the first time and like seeing such incredible films and how it's like intertwined with the history of like music here.
Yes.
Yeah, and that like I didn't realize how much that like overlapped into like the genre of music of being like independent, like indie music.
Yeah.
I felt like it was so cool. I went to go see the documentary about broken social scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I used to love them when I was growing up, and they actually like inspired me when I was writing Sunflower
Really?
Girl. Yeah,
Cool.
So like the indie music was like super important with writing the film, and I like connected with like our lead actor who like wrote a song in our film, and like our composer who drew a lot of inspiration from indie music. So I feel like when I watch all these films and I see like similar visual elements, similar like musical elements, I felt like I was like, oh yeah, our film definitely like fits into Woodstock. Like,
Yeah.
I felt like I really understood the vibe and how independent it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what's something about the film that you are kind of most personally proud of?
Wow. I think like because this is my first like solo like directorial film.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, and I guess like first like professional short, not being in school. It's like a personal story, and I think like it being a personal film and like the first kind of official solo thing I've done. That's like, I feel like now I'm like, okay, I could do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. Okay, so how did your premiere go? It was yesterday. How do you think that went? How was that experience for you?
It was really good. There was like a lot of people for 10:45 a.m. So I was kind of like pleasantly surprised. Like, wow, it was a great turnout. The films were like incredible. The incredible programming. I loved all the films I saw. People asked like, a lot of questions. People had their like premieres with us, and so it's just really exciting to hear people from all over the world like share the screen with us.
Yeah,
it was really great. I felt like all the films like related, young women,
Yeah, so you were in the coming of age block, you said.
Yeah.
So how would you describe like, I guess, the message behind this specific coming of age story, like to you? What does it mean?
Yeah, I think I feel like our block really spoke to like the message of it. Like I really wrote it because of like the lack of like this representation when I was like growing up. Like I was saying, I listened to like a lot of indie music and I like loved indie film and I love like coming of age films, but like I feel like I never like saw myself in these like coming of age films, and I felt like when I was a kid, like I used to always think I really wanted to write like a coming of age story, like something about my life, like when I was that age. Like, yeah, and so I felt like I'm kind of like living my like old wish to myself by like writing it and being like, this is like the film I wish I could have seen. And it was like so meaningful after when one of the filmmakers like her daughter like came up to me and was like, I really like related to the film, and she's like a teenager. So like that's like kind of my takeaways, like people who are like young women can like relate and feel like seen by it. So
we need much more different types of representation in film, like 1,000%.
Absolutely.
So I guess my other question is, you said you were really inspired by just indie music and other things like that. Is there any like high points of the soundtrack that you're really proud of, or different things that you were inspired by for that?
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. So it's so funny because when I was writing this film and afterwards when we were doing the score and the original song that's in the film, so the lead actor, Malaya, she like wrote the original song that like plays at the end. Yeah, like in her audition, but it felt,
in her audition?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she wrote the script and was like, hi, like, here's my audition. And she's like, actually, I also wrote a song. Like, she like plays the ukulele.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's like the exact kind of feeling that like this. I made a playlist like when I wrote it and when I was shooting it, and like Broken Social Scene was in the playlist. Yes, and like a lot of the like indie music from that time period that was like foundational. And it's like she's so much younger than me. But she was like, I remember getting to know each other, and I was like, oh, what do you listen to? She's like, oh, my favorite band's Weezer.
Oh my gosh,
like,
yes!
Yeah, and I'm just like, wow, okay, that's cool. Like, she listens to what I listened to when I was like a preteen, but she's like, how much younger than me. So I felt like we were, like, she's younger than me, but like kindred musical spirit. And she like really understood the like meaning of everything and the sounds. And yeah, I think her song is a high point. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, and I mean, our composer, like, she also grew up on the same, being from the same generation, listening to the same, like, discovering stuff on MySpace, like indie stuff. And yeah, I feel like the whole song soundscape like blends together.
Yeah. No, that's a super interesting aspect. I do love coming of age movies. That's like a hit me right in the heart type of thing. And I love I love the way that you emphasize the music within all of it, because it is a new generation of filmmakers coming up, and it's been really cool to see people with their music tastes, just come up and put them into movies. So, where can we find some of your other stuff? Is there anything else you'd like to plug?
Yeah, I mean, we're actually like currently right now screening in Brooklyn. I'm not there because I'm speaking to you, but we're gonna be at a lot of festivals. We're online at one of them, Silicon Valley Asian one. So in America, you can watch it online.
All right, cool.
I'm working on the feature of this.
Awesome.
So down the line,
Yes.
it'll happen. But yeah, we're still going through our run. We're gonna be for like another year or so.
Oh, awesome.
Half
Cool.
a year, Yeah. So it'll be out there. Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, thank you. It's nice to talk to you.
Thank you so much. It was
Have a
really
good
nice
one.
talking to you. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
It's just a live stream.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Yeah, have it.
Is there somewhere I can watch it online? Like, I'm very intrigued by this. I would love to watch it.
I think on the event team for Woodstock.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was great to talk to you.
Thank you.
One with me and then one more.
That was Sunflower Girl, a very interesting take on the coming of age movie with indie songs. And we have our next guest coming up right now.
All right, thanks.
Yeah.
I'll sit down and do it. Hi there. We're still going strong. In the back, you'll hear folks talking. We've got Dutch filmmakers. There's a Dutch exchange program coming on. After Chitra, who is a professor at NYU and has an incredible talent at teaching editing, because the intern Ben that I worked with, shout out to Ben, learned under her, and he's amazing. So you might hear them really loud in the back. So sorry about that. But it's an exciting place to be. There's just like lots of people coming and going and taking pictures and having great conversations. So thanks for joining us. And I'm gonna bring on Chitra. Thank you.
Hi, it's nice to meet you.
Likewise, thank you so much.
So what is your film?
So I have a little prop here. So is it wait, is it all right if we...
The camera is right there if you wanted to show anything to it.
Okay, all right. So it's I'm looking at you.
Yes.
Sorry.
You're so good.
So this is Amar's Bride, the story of Valli, who is a woman who lives in South India, and it's a story about her and her trans daughter in a small town called Thoothukudi, where I was born and raised.
Oh wow, okay.
And I went to school till 5th grade. My mother's family still lives there. It's a very homophobic town. And to see a super supportive mom who was completely on board with her trans daughter's journey, and her trans daughter falls in love, and like anybody, right? We all want a special someone in our life, and she falls in love and wants to marry and wants to live and have joy. And so the film follows that journey, like how the legal struggle to get marriage recognized and the societal challenges that one must sort of navigate.
So it's a documentary? Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay,
Yeah, it's a
so,
20-minute documentary.
Okay, wow. So how long were you there for, like gathering footage, and also how did you come across her? How did you meet her?
So I'm a producer.
Oh, okay.
So the director's name is Shiva Krish, and the director lives in India. And he met them when there was a news article about their plan to get married. Like they were in front of a temple and they were trying to get married, and their marriage was not accepted, so it became news. And so he, like everyone, saw the news article, which went viral, and then contacted them.
Right.
And then it took a while to sort of establish trust and relationship. And he followed their story for 4 years.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so it started pre-COVID, and then
pre-COVID too. Wow.
Yeah, and then you know what happened with COVID and all that life.
Yeah.
And so we premiered in May of this year.
Oh wow, okay. So were you guys there during COVID as well, filming, or was it like a total pause? Like
with documentary, you're not filming continuously.
Right.
You're going in and out when there's stuff happening in their lives, and then you come back and you wait for life to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very interesting story to see it kind of reflected in the way that even in America things are, constantly shifting and changing for trans people and LGBTQ people.
Yeah.
So it's a really, really just like hard-hitting story, I think. So this is not your guys' first premiere.
No, this is not our first premiere. This is this is sort of our Hudson Valley premiere. Yeah,
Okay.
And this is our. I guess what for me why this film is special is because usually films from India there's a lot of trans violence on screen. There's a lot of struggle, and there's very little films about joy and celebration, of support, of possibilities, of hope. And I think in that way our film stands out.
Yeah.
Like we are showing if you're showing it's not really hard to it's very simple, right? If you're a parent and your child wants to do something, it's whether you understand the experience, whether you understand the journey or not, it's really okay to support.
Yes.
And if you start so that's why our tagline is when love thrives, pride follows, like everything else falls in place. So for us that is what is special about our film, and we want to show it in India. We want to show it, and we want to have conversations about love is a very simple place to start.
Yes. No, that's awesome that you guys choose to focus on the joy rather than on things of that nature, because I think especially people can get fatigued when it comes to things like this, of seeing their community constantly in harm and in pain, and especially in this situation. It's just it's a great thing to highlight. I really like that angle that you guys take on that. And it already premiered, or it is set to premiere still in the Hudson Valley?
We had one screening yesterday.
Okay.
It was lovely. We are going to have another one at 4:45
Awesome,
at the Hudson at the LGBT Center in Kingston.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I think that's very special. Like we are so excited that Woodstock is not just it's a great festival venue, and we're happy to be screening at all the festival venues, but it's nice to have a community screening at the LGBT Center.
Yes, that's
right?
awesome.
Yeah, so we're having another one in a few minutes.
And then I heard before you walked in, this is a little aside, but you're a professor as well. So how do you think that experience kind of shapes the work that you bring into documentary work, or even specifically with this? How do you think that shapes the way you approach work like this?
You mean how teaching?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I think I love teaching, and like a lot of filmmakers, I'm juggling, making work and also teaching. What's fun about teaching is that I think with my students, I'm navigating several ideas and several creative challenges. And so I feel like I make every time I teach a class, each student is going through 3 new projects at least. And if it's a class of 10, that is 30 projects that I feel I'm navigating with a bunch of students. It's fascinating to find creative ways to tell story. It's fascinating to look at different perspectives. It really broadens my worldview. I also love the intergenerational connection that I have with students. I feel like I see where they draw inspirations from, where they want to tell their story, and I grow with every class. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And so it has or has not been shown in India yet?
Not yet.
Okay, and is that a goal for you guys?
Oh, we have massive goals for India. So we will likely premiere in December.
Okay.
It's not official yet. So,
on the level.
But our objective is so the film is in a state called Tamil Nadu. And the 2 special things is we are celebrating joy in the film. Second is that the story is from a small town, from someone who is in the blue collar world. The very rarely LGBT stories from my country come from that community. So we want to show the film in every village in our state. So there are 12,000 villages. A village is the smallest unit where people vote and elect someone. And we want to have conversations about the film. So we want to get it to 1 million people at least in our state, and really broaden conversations about parental support, creating an inclusive society where people can go to school without getting bullied, people can go to college, people can stay employed, and really live a full life. So that's our goal. Yeah.
That's really awesome. Is there anywhere else online where we can find more of your work, or any other projects that you'd like to plug?
Sure. Amash Pride has a website, amashpride.com. So it's like literally the film's title.
Okay.
Amash Pride film.com, and my website is realtalkies.com. I'm actually working on a feature that is hopefully going to come out. I've started submitting to festivals, fingers crossed. It's about adoption. It's looking at adoption from a very flipped narrative.
Okay.
Like we've seen a lot of stories of children from the developing world come to the Western world, and but here everything is sort of flipped. Like, so the parents are immigrants in the U.S. They're raising white children, and so it's a film about belonging, identity, and that it takes a village to raise children. So it's coming out next year. Hopefully, I'll bring it to Woodstock.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you. It was great talking to you.
Pleasure's mine. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us. And don't forget, you said 4:45 today.
Yeah,
Screening again.
Yes.
All right,
4:45.
cool.
Yeah.
Kingston.
Thank you. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for accommodating inside.
Enjoy your screen.
Thank you. Can I take a picture?
Yeah, take a picture. And we're gonna wrap it up. Actually, I think the Dutch filmmakers from Leiden Film Festival and KLM, I think they're gonna hang out. So
Okay.
we're just gonna wrap this up. But you can take a photo. I also took a bunch of photos that I can send to you.
Yes.
And I'll get your info from Ben. But yeah, thanks so much. You were great.
Yeah, I was so happy to do it.
That was fun. The wake was really fun when you have
Yeah.
actors coming in and on a shoestring budget type of
Yeah.
situation, and they were in your hometown.
I can't believe
filming.
they filmed in Syracuse, and during December, that's a brutal month. That is a brutal month to be there.
That's dedication. It looked like they really had fun though.
Yeah.
So I think that filmmaking, you want to enjoy the process, and it'll make an impact on the film
Definitely.
itself. So that was cool to see.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had a lot of great guests today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Hi guys.
Nice.